Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We are on ayah number 270 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Let us continue بحول wa quwwatih. قال الله تعالى: وما أنفقتم من نفقة أو نذرتم من خير فإن الله يعلمه وما للظالمين من أنصار. So we're still on the topic of spending, and Allah Jalla wa Ala tells us whatever you spend, He says min nafaqa. It's an emphatic form. Whatever you spend, little or large, and even for whatever reason you spend. You could spend in the obedience of Allah Jalla wa Ala, or you could spend in His disobedience. Whatever you spend, Allah knows it. So that means He will take you to account for it. Good for good, evil for evil. أو نذرتم. This is a key word. Nadhar. This means to make a vow. The detail of this is in the books of fiqh or the presentations of fiqh. So let us avoid the details, but to just define the word, it is to obligate on yourself something which is not ordinarily obligated on you. And the zalimeen, the wrongdoers, will have no ansar. Ansar meaning helpers. Not the word min ansar. Again, the word min is used. It is used for emphasis. Otherwise, you can say that the zalimeen will not have any ansar. But the word min gives you this idea that there are absolutely no helpers whatsoever. So these are words of emphasis. As for making a vow, then there are many examples. So just to give one, somebody may say that if I pass my exams, I will fast for 1 month as a thanks to Allah Jalla wa Ala. This is a vow. He has obligated on himself something which was not ordinarily obligated on him. And it does not even have to be hinged to a condition, such as passing the exams. It could just be a vow just like that. For example, a person says, I vow to fast 1 month. So this is also a vow. Basically, it is to obligate on yourself that which is not ordinarily obligated. And of course, zalimun means oppressors or wrongdoers. Dhulm is to place something in other than its proper place. This is the broad definition of dhulm. In the financial context, however, which is the context of this ayah and the preceding ayat, the zalimun would be those who spend their money in disobedience, in all matters which Allah Jalla wa Ala hates, and it can also be those people who spend their money in righteous matters per se, however they are showing off. So this is of course also hated to Allah Jalla wa Ala. So reflecting on this ayah, we find that Allah knows about everything that you spend and will requite you for it. Therefore, we may take from this that you should not belittle even 1 penny that you spend in the way of Allah Jalla wa Ala. It could be the action which tilts the balance in your favor on Yawm al-Qiyamah. We also take that if you make a vow, and if it is an act of ibadah, then you must go ahead and fulfill it, because Allah Jalla wa Ala knows about it, and you will be questioned about it then. We also find that for the zalimeen and the kuffar being at the height of the dhulm, there will be no helpers. Certainly this is the case on Yawm al-Qiyamah. As for the kuffar being helped in this world, this is indeed possible, and we know it because it has happened. Then this is part of the fitna that Allah Jalla wa Ala puts the believers through, and that simply cannot be avoided. Ayah 271. إن تبدوا الصدقات فنعما هي وإن تخفوها وتؤتوها الفقراء فهو خير لكم ويكفر عنكم من سيئاتكم والله بما تعملون خبير. He says إن تبدوا, from the verb abda yubdi, ibda'an. It means to bring out to view. Bada yabdu means to come out in view. So if you bring out to view your sadaqat, meaning you show your sadaqat, فَنِعِمَّهِ, then how good is that? And then he says, وَإِن تُخْفُوهَا, from أخفى يُخْفي, to conceal. If you conceal your sadaqat, meaning your charity giving and your zakah, and you give it to the fuqara, these are poor people who do not have enough to suffice them and their dependents. فَهُوَ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ, and this is better. Why is it better? Because it is closer to ikhlas. So this ayah is telling us that if you have to show your charity, then it is good because other people can follow your example. But someone might say, is this not showing off? The answer is no, because your intention is not to gain the praise of people, rather it is to encourage them to follow your lead, and that is a good thing. Yes, if your intention is merely so that people can praise you, then that would be showing off, and you would have spoilt your sadaqah. So we say in conclusion, if there is a genuine need to openly give in charity, such as to encourage others to do the same, then yes, that is a good thing. Otherwise, generally keep all your righteous actions in private. He says, وَيُكَفِّرُ كَفَّرَ يُكَفِّرُ تَكْفِيرًا. We have spoken about this before. It means to cover. So the kaffara covers your sins. So he says, وَيُكَفِّرُ عَنْكُمْ. He will make takfir from you your sayyi'at, your evil deeds. In other words, he will expiate your evil deeds. So we take from this that giving charity removes your evil deeds. It is an expiation. Notice also the word min sayyi'atikum. This word min is not necessary. You could have uttered the sentence without the word min. However, why is it added in? Like we said before, emphasis, meaning all your evil actions can be expiated via the charity. And of course, these are all your minor sins, not the major ones, because major sins require a sincere tawbah. And Allah is khabir with all that you do. Khabir is like alim, meaning knowledgeable. Khabar means news. So Allah has news of everything. But where khabir differs from alim is that khabir knows the inward things as well as the outward matters. So he's telling us that he is aware of our most inner secrets. Okay, let's reflect on this ayah. We take that giving your charity in secret is better, and that is the general rule. It is the general rule for every act of ibadah. However, sometimes giving in open can be better if it is to teach others or to encourage others to take your example, as we said. Notice how he says, وَتُؤْتُوهَا الْفُقَرَى. You give it to the fuqara, which means that the sadaqah cannot be called a sadaqah until the fuqara receive it. We can also make a remark about this matter, and it is to say that if in giving the sadaqah you have to incur expenses, that is to say to transfer the money, then the expenses are upon you, not on the poor person. Also, before handing the money over to the poor person, if you decide to not give it to that particular poor person anymore, then that is your right. We take from this ayah that certain actions are better than others. In other words, all righteous actions are not of the same level. So giving charity in secret is better than giving charity in open, although there is goodness in both, on the condition that you're not showing off when you give charity in open, of course. Righteous actions can differ with regards to various matters. So for example, the jins, the type of righteous action. So for example, the salah is better than the hajj and the zakah and the sawm. You can have the place. Performing the salah in the Masjid al-Nabawi is 1,000 times better than anywhere else from the masajid. You can have a time. The first 10 days of Dhul Hijjah are the most virtuous times for righteous actions. You can have the amil, the doer. The Sahaba's righteous actions were worth more than our righteous actions. Righteous actions can be superior with regards to the quality. For example, a person praying with 100% khushu' has more reward than a person praying with 70% khushu'. So the quality of the action matters. Similarly, for example, a person reciting the Quran properly with a great pronunciation and tajweed and so on, and another person who is not quite as skilled. So the actions can be superior to others. The actor, the one doing the actions, therefore would be superior to others as well. And what sprouts from this matter is that Iman is not all the same. Certain Iman is superior than others. We also take that charity is a great way to remove your sins. Therefore, increase in the regularity of giving charity. And we may also take that Khabir is one of the names of Allah Jalla wa Ala with its attributes as well. Ayah 272. لَيْسَ عَلَيْكَ هُدَاهُمْ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَا تُنْفِقُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ فَلِأَنْفُسِكُمْ وَمَا تُنْفِقُونَ إِلَّا ابْتِغَاءَ وَجْهِ اللَّهِ وَمَا تُنْفِقُوا مِنْ خَيْرٍ يُوَفَّ إِلَيْكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تُظْلَمُونَ. So he begins by saying that it is not upon you, O Muhammad ﷺ, to guide them, but Allah guides whomsoever He wills. And the guidance spoken of here is Hidayat at-Tawfiq, not Hidayat al-Irshad, because it is the responsibility of the Prophet to guide the people, as in to show them the right way. As for actually making them practice the right way, then that is only on Allah Jalla wa Ala, as He opens people's hearts and seals off others. He says, whatever you spend, it is for your own selves, meaning to say, you alone would reap the rewards. Allah Jalla wa Ala Himself does not benefit. And then he says, you are not spending except ibtigha, seeking the wajhillah, the face of Allah. As for the face of Allah, then some have said it means seeking the reward of Allah. Others have said that it means to see the face of Allah in Jannah. And both tafsirs are close to each other, because your reward is in Jannah, obviously, and in Jannah you are going to see the face of Allah. This will be the look of pleasure. Now notice the statement is a declarative statement, but what is intended is an order form, that you must not spend except seeking the face of Allah Jalla wa Ala. And he says, whatever you spend, yuwaffa ilaykum, waffa, yuwaffi, to fulfill. So it will be fulfilled ilaykum, to you, meaning your reward will be given to you in full. وَأَنْتُمْ لَا تُظْلَمُونَ, and you will not be wronged, that is, you will not be given a shortfall, or you will not be shortchanged. That is to say, be given less than what you deserve. Even the kuffar will not be given less than what they deserve, because Jahannam is precisely what they deserve, nothing more, nothing less. As for the believers, they will be not oppressed, obviously, but they will be given more than they deserve, because Jannah is worth more than our petty actions. Okay, so taking some benefits from this ayah, we take the difference between Hidayatul Irshad and Hidayatul Tawfiq, which we spoke about before. We learn that Allah has a Mashi'ah, a will, and that this is one of His attributes and characteristics with which He may be described. We learn that guidance is in the hands of Allah. You could preach Islam all you want. No one is going to be guided to al-Islam until Allah wills them to be guided, because He knows that in their hearts there is goodness and they are worthy of guidance. As for if Allah knows that in a person's heart there is no goodness and such a person is not worthy of guidance, then they shall not be guided, because guidance is not a right, it is a privilege. We learn of the centrality of al-Ikhlas, that you perform your acts of ibadah seeking the face of Allah, that is to say, wanting to see Allah in Jannah, and of course seeking the reward of Allah Jalla wa Ala, and seeking the pleasure of Allah. So it's all about Allah Jalla wa Ala. We can also take that Allah has a face, of course a face which befits Him. So we affirm these characteristics without any tahrif, no takyif, no tafweed, no tamthil. We learn that the believers can rest assured that their actions will not go to waste as long as they had al-Ikhlas, and that Allah Jalla wa Ala does not wrong anyone in aught. هذا والله أعلم.